Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CX Goalkeeper podcast. Today I'm super keen because I'm with Sam Stern together. Hi Sam, how are you?
Hi, Greg. Great to see you.
Thank you very much. I'm very looking forward to this discussion. We are discussing about beyond the theory, creating meaningful experiences. And I'm super keen to kick off this discussion, but as usual, first of all, Sam, could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I lead the service design team at LinkedIn. And I think if you're listening to this or watching this, you're probably a member of LinkedIn. We've got 1 billion members around the world. Lots of folks who know the platform. If you don't, it's sort of the place you go if you're doing business, social networking, trying to find a job, hire someone, learn, market your business. And I've been there for 4 years and have been doing customer experience and then service design work in that time. Before that, I was at New Balance, the sneaker company, doing customer experience. And before that, I was at Forrester Research for 16 years in doing customer experience research and consulting. And that's where I met and collaborated closely with one of your past guests, Maxi Schmidt.
Oh, thank you very much. I hope Maxi is listening to this episode. I will share that with her. I'm quite sure she will be super happy that you mentioned her. But before I ask the next question, perhaps one time I would like to say thank you very much that we have the opportunity to use and to leverage LinkedIn to share our thoughts, to share our stories. And I want to be honest, for free. And therefore, thank you very much for the work that you are doing. I know a lot of people are complaining about the algorithm, are complaining about the old setup, but basically it's an outstanding platform free of charge that we can use. And if we position ourselves well, it works also extremely well. And therefore, thank you very much for your work in advance.
Yes, no, thank you for saying that. And as you can imagine, first in customer experience, now in service design, I get a lot of inbound from people I know or people who are referring people they know to me with their frustrations and their complaints. And I would just say, if you're listening to this or watching this, I create a lot on the platform. I share a lot of your frustrations in using it. Um, I'm passing on this feedback actively. And so if you're watching this or listening to this thinking, he needs to know about this, please do come to me with that. I love hearing from our members and customers, Greg, because they're articulating a lot of the things I've noticed as well. And the feedback helps me make it sound like it's not just Sam, your colleague internally at LinkedIn complaining, but he actually has evidence for why this isn't a good experience. Maybe we'll get into some of the specific examples that I'm thinking of, but it's really helpful to hear from people. And so I hope you get value from it. I think you do, but also I'd love to help you get more value from it. So be in touch if you have ideas.
And this time it's not a frustration, but it's really a heartful thank you for
Yes.
sharing or offering us this outstanding platform to share our knowledge, our wisdom, our stories.
We love compliments too. Yes. And thank you for that, Greg.
Thank you very much. And now you already said that you really like to speak with people to get feedback, and therefore keen to ask this question. Which are the values that drive your professional career?
Yeah. Um, I think it's been curiosity first and foremost as I've grown. When I got to Forrester Research, I'd never heard of customer experience, and it immediately appealed to me. It just had this feeling of something that could, it could be both good for the customer and the business and the employee, as I came to find out. And I just thought there was something magical about that. And so I wanted to delve deeper into it. And then the other thing I've learned about myself within curiosity is I love things that appear simple, but are not. And customer experience is absolutely one of those. I would say, another one for me in my personal life that is like that is pizza, making pizza. It appears simple. You think it's simple, but there are so many layers to doing it well and doing it better and so many facets and ways to do it. And it's the same with customer experience. It's like, oh, you hear all these simplistic versions of it. It's the golden rule, or it's the platinum rule, or it's just, do what your customers ask you to do. And it's got so much more to that. And there's so many dynamics that come into how the human mind works. So I find it endlessly fascinating. So for me, it's a curiosity, but then it's finding something that rewards your curiosity because it always has more for you to learn and to explore. And customer experience has absolutely been that for me.
Thank you very much. And I think we can all understand the pizza example, but then I need to ask the question, which is your preferred pizza?
Okay. Well, so my neighbor has one of these fancy pizza ovens. It's a Gosney pizza oven. And so I would say lately the dough, I've been making two kinds of dough that we've been making in his pizza oven. We've been making like a Roman style dough, which has, a lot of the olive oil. It doesn't ferment for as long, but it's got the really crispiness from the olive oil, so it holds up well. And then we've been making a Naples style dough, sort of the classic one, with 3-day ferment and rise, and that produces really good pizza. And that one we go very simple with the ingredients. In the Roman, we sort of pile on ingredients because it's crisp and firm and can hold up to heavier loads, if that makes sense.
Oh, yes, and you're a big expert, but now I leave the discussion
Yeah,
about
that
cooking because
that's a
then would
different
be
podcast, right?
different podcast. And I
Yeah.
think my wife would be a bit better, even if I am really good at cooking pizza. And my son also confirmed that. But let's start the game.
All
Beyond
right.
the beyond the theory, creating meaningful experiences.
Mm,
You were advising company for a very long time, and now you're actually doing it. You did
yeah.
that at New Balance and at LinkedIn. What's the difference? What are your learnings there?
Yeah. So I was at Forrester for 16 years, and towards the end was feeling like um, it had gotten I'd gotten to a point where I was telling people how to do their jobs without ever having done their job, and only having a vague sense that there was probably a lot I was missing in terms of nuance and detail, and something again that appeared simple. Oh, just go do this. I'm telling you what to do, and you'll be able to do it. And so when I got to New Balance, and it's been the same, or it's been a similar dynamic at LinkedIn. It's not knowing what to do. It's knowing how to speak in the language of your colleagues, that convinces them that what you're suggesting to do will solve a problem that they have. And so at New Balance, for example, and you'll see where then this becomes very different based on the company. At New Balance, we had a problem with the cost of returns for us as a business, and the frustration of the process of returns for the customer. And in that is a really great opportunity. We can take cost out of it and probably make it an easier, more convenient process to the customer. But also then it becomes this two-sided problem where you don't want to make it too convenient for the customer. You'll get far more returns. And I was trying to show my colleagues how making it a better experience would make it a better, would take cost out of it, would be great for everyone. The problem was I was going to people who were responsible for returns, who were experts logistically in how this worked, and basically telling them I knew how to do their jobs better than them. And so you can imagine how they received that. They they didn't want to talk to me. And so I think that was like one of the many lessons I've learned in my now 6 years as a practitioner after sort of 15 as a sort of, quote unquote expert, is you not only do you have to figure out what the problem is that your colleagues have that you can help solve, and what is the language they use to talk about that problem, but what is the right way to open up that conversation, build trust with them where they can actually hear your solutions. They're open to this conversation rather than just saying, well, he clearly doesn't understand us if he's going to come into us and start explaining to us how our part of the business works. Um, so that's something that I continue to learn, I would say, but that was one of the biggest ahas, biggest learnings for me once I got to this side of the equation of customer experience.
Now I'm very curious because you share your biggest learning at New Balance. What's your biggest learning at LinkedIn?
Yeah. So at LinkedIn, what I think is really interesting as a culture of a company is it's very autonomous, very decentralized. So anyone can really do anything. And this is great because you are empowered if you see a problem to go fix it. But you can imagine what happens when everyone is doing that. You have a lot of overlap, a lot of contradiction, a lot of people solving the same problem in different ways that do not integrate. And so that is one of the ways that, again, I'm sort of going out with that same challenge of how do I convince you that partnering with my team will actually empower you rather than overriding what you've already done. I'll give you a very simple example. Um, our sales teams are, creating pricing, creating packaging information for our customers. And they often use their own pricing calculators, even though we have sort of an enterprise one. And we want to help them get the latest data, be in compliance with our rules about pricing. give the best presentation to the customer, but they want to use the one that they've always used. And so we're now working to meet them where they are. And this is the magic of LinkedIn is we can use some of the new AI tools that are emerging, right, to create better integration, but still let them use their custom interface, better materials on the back end that then would go to the customer. But again, they can still use their process for creating them. They can just get some AI support in terms of the tools. But we have to meet them where they are because at LinkedIn, I can't really make them conform to the process. I have to overwhelm them with a better approach so that they'll want to partner with us, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. And thank you for mentioning artificial intelligence, because now we are going very high in the rankings and in the downloads number because you have a specific topic. No, joke
Yeah.
aside, you are partnering with different teams and trying to define solutions. Also, in the pre-discussion and also checking your LinkedIn profile, you're speaking about service design. What's
Mm.
the biggest difference working in CX and working in service design? But please, perhaps before answering this question, could you please also elaborate what is service
Yeah.
design?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, this one's a really interesting one for me because I've been in customer experience for 20 plus years. And then a year ago, our team was renamed, was removed from customer experience and moved into a new org, and we were rebranded as service design. And so, in a lot of ways, there's a lot of continuity to what we were doing before. And I think in part that's because customer experience as a discipline has migrated very far over towards what you would traditionally think of service design as doing. So customer experience has adopted things from service design. This will get into some of the definition of service design that you were asking me to talk about, like looking at all of the components of how you deliver an experience. So if you think about creating a service blueprint, to create a service blueprint, you need to understand all of the components that go into delivering that service. So this is a lot of the behind the scenes. If you think about back to cooking and pizza, but the restaurant analogy that we like to use, there's front of house, there's back of house. Um, you would consider all the back of house. You would consider all of the stuff out of the house, right? The ingredients that get shipped there, the linen cleaning and linen supplies and all of that stuff. You would consider the operating environment. And customer experience had adopted these facets over the last 15 years, I would say, and moved the Venn diagram of customer experience and service design to come much more to overlap. And I remember former colleagues of mine at Forrester, a woman named Leah Bewley, who has written a great book called The UX Team of One, Carrie Bodine, who was the co-author of Outside In. They had predicted this and talked about this, and I think they've proven to be right that CX adopted a lot of service design practices. And so at LinkedIn, the way we practice service design has a lot of heritage to how we practiced customer experience because we're doing qualitative research, we're mapping end-to-end journeys, then we're working with internal stakeholders to understand how they're delivering the experience today, what other tools or support or training they need to deliver a better service that we're reimagining for tomorrow. We create a service blueprint that lays that out. We go and work with internal stakeholders to get our colleagues who are customer facing the tools they need. We work with other colleagues in product to reimagine the products and services that go direct to customers. And I think the biggest change for me in the last year has been we now work directly with product designers because we're in their org. And that has changed what's possible for us in terms of how we can influence the customer experience we're delivering.
I really like your explanation, because at the end you are telling me, or that's my understanding, that you're doing the same, but you have much bigger potential to positively impact the teams and at the end your customers and people using LinkedIn, because you develop the product together with them. Which are the main topic from customer experience that you always take with you, the main ideas from customer experience that you take with you in service design?
Yeah. First, that the idea that what the customer remembers about the experience is more important than what actually happened. What we are trying to do is create a memory of a good experience. And so it does not need to be perfect in every moment. It does not need to be consistent all the way through. And it really shouldn't be effortless and perfect because that's not memorable. It should have some narrative arc, some tension and resolution like a great story does, because that's what people remember. And so, if you're in your mind right now conjuring, is he maybe talking about the peak end rule and Daniel Kahneman's research here? Absolutely, that plays a part. And I also think what's sometimes left out of when people think about how applying the peak end rule to customer experience should go is the fact that a peak is often offset by a trough or a period that is not very memorable or is maybe even a little bit frustrating. And then you resolve it with this peak moment, and that makes the peak even more memorable. And so that's one of the things that I always try to bring with me wherever we are is what are those peak moments that we can build the experience around that are going to create anchor with strong emotions, the memory of the customer about the overall experience. I want them to remember great moments, not necessarily every part of that experience. I want them to forget a lot of parts and remember just the moments that we wanted them to remember.
I really like that. But now you bring me directly to the next question. And basically, LinkedIn is a professional social network.
Yes.
And there, what is extremely important is first impression. I mean, the first 3-4 seconds, because a lot of people are scrolling and trying to find the relevant post. I know that LinkedIn is doing a lot to push the right post, but basically, what's your view on the first impression and on these 2-3-4 seconds that
Yeah.
the user sees a post?
Yeah. No, I think that's a great question, right? It's a great sort of challenge of what I was just saying. Well, how do you make this real? And yeah, so we do a lot of work actually with people. And so if you're listening to this and wondering about how to make your post better, there's lots of resources where we can help you with this. There's lots of people in the world, by the way. I'm sure you've probably seen their posts on LinkedIn who are willing to, take your money and offer to help you with this. But what I would say is you want to lead, if I'm going to break down what makes a post memorable, it should lead with a catchy headline, not clickbait headline, but catchy and memorable. It should then have, there's all this science about it, but it should be easy to read and scan. And so it shouldn't be too long. And it should have absolutely line breaks. If you think about content, reading content on a mobile app or on the web, you always think about something that's very scannable. You think about the key points stand out. Definitely make use of our emojis. I think they draw people's attention to the right things. The algorithm seems to like them as well on LinkedIn. And then definitely use a photo or a video or a graphic that anchors the meaning in your post. That to me is one where someone would scan that and say, oh, this first line is interesting. This looks like they put some time into creating this post. I'm going to read this or look at it further or save it for later because I can tell they are actually trying to produce good content and they actually took time to think about what would make me pay attention.
Thank you. I will cut now the last 30 seconds and will sell that to the audience. The rest of the episode is for free, but this piece, it will be paid because it will help people reach others. Now, joke aside, thank you for this information. But at the end, now we're really speaking about the customer of LinkedIn. And also there, it could be really interesting to understand your view about members, about customers, because you have some paying, some that are not really
Right.
using that. How do you balance what LinkedIn members need with customer expectation, in particular the one that are paying?
Yeah. Yeah. This is our forever challenge at LinkedIn. We are member first. And everyone listening or watching this is a member, but not everyone listening or watching is a customer. And so you're a customer when you have an open job position and you're listing it and you're paying us money, or when you get the premium membership, or when you have a LinkedIn learning license. There's plenty of ways to be a customer, but you can get a lot of value on the platform without being a customer, as you said, for free earlier. And we don't want that to change. We want everyone to come. It's the audience, it's the aggregation of all of these professional folks that makes LinkedIn then valuable to our customers. Um, and so what I really like about this is the accountability it creates for LinkedIn. Everyone who's a customer of LinkedIn is also a member. So there's not like, oh, well, I want you to optimize my needs as a customer because I know I also want you to treat me well as a member. So I don't want too much irrelevant content, which is a lot of what I hear from people about. And even though on the other side, they're saying, I want to reach more people, but I don't want people reaching me with bad content, right? So there's that tension there. And we need to hold that tension in balance because the value of the platform for customers depends on the value that it creates for the members. And everyone who's a customer is a member. So we want to make sure that you feel like you're well represented on both in both relationships with us. And that's difficult. That's a difficult balance to strike. We've what we Where we come down on it is without the members, we're nothing. So we have to first make sure it's adding value for members, and then make sure as well that if you pay us for services, you're going to get return on your investment. Like you will fill your hired, you'll fill your roles that you're advertising for. You'll get leads when you market on the platform, and so on and so forth.
Thank you. Now that we understand better, it's members first. It when you're focusing on the members, and at the end, you want also LinkedIn members to stay the longest possible time on your platform. And you spoke about creating special moments, memorable moments for the user that feels personal and are not too big effort. And I'm really keen to ask, how are you creating? What are you creating? Doing or what are you doing in order to create these moments? You spoke about pick and rule. We spoke about attention. You spoke already about this behavioral check that at least some effort is required so that people
Yeah.
stay and so on. And can you share some more details how you create them?
Yeah, sure. So, if you think about some of the member peak moments, you might have, if you're listening or watching this, used some of these yourself, right? You see when you have a work anniversary, when you change your job title, we will share that out to your by default to your community, and you'll get usually lots of inbound kudos. I've had plenty of times where my job title has changed, but I didn't get a promotion. I'm getting congratulated on the promotion, so it's not a perfect system. I will grant that, but what we're trying to do is think about which moments in a career, in a professional life, are important, and then helping you to memorialize those. And then we're also this is a smaller moment, but we're also making it really easy for people to see those moments for others in their network and comment, or at least react to those moments. And it's in those comments and reactions actually that it heightens that moment. So if we talk about the peak end rule, the more love and attention you get for your promotion or for your new job, or the more support you get when you get laid off and you're now looking for a job, the more it makes you, again, this is what we're going for, feel the value of the network, of the platform. And so that's where I think that idea of creating a strong memory when I got laid off, and that's a really, really important moment and time period in a professional's life, that I posted on LinkedIn and I got the support from people in my network. But more importantly, some of that support turned into people referring me to open jobs, referring me to hiring managers, helping me find my next position or my next opportunity. And if that happens, now you associate that down moment in your experience becoming a new peak when you get the new job or new opportunity, and you associate it at least in part with LinkedIn having helped you do that. And we don't want to say like, oh, LinkedIn did this for you. Not at all. And that's another part of the equation here. And the emotional part is you want to feel like you accomplished that, but that we did help you. And that part of why you were able to accomplish that is because of the value of the network on LinkedIn. So I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but I think that's kind of the psychology of we understand what are those key milestones or moments, especially a moment of need like that in a professional's life. And then how do we as LinkedIn with our network help you really make that moment stand out in your memory and be a successful moment in your career?
The only thing I can say, it's really spot on, because this is the real customer experience discipline, not trying to find in the small journey that the customer is going through or the member is going through, scrolling from the point in time he starts scrolling until it stops, but it zoom out and look really at the professional career of somebody and
Yeah.
check what are the most important events in this journey, the career of a person, and then highlighting them. And for me now, it's extremely clear that I see a lot of updates on LinkedIn about new people changing job, because that's really relevant. And
Yeah.
I see also very often a lot of comments, a lot of likes, because LinkedIn is amplifying them based on what you're sharing or what I'm understanding about this
Yeah.
discussion,
That's right.
because it's much more important than one post about what happened last Wednesday, even positive or negative or something like that. It's really cool. I think a lot of companies could and should learn zooming around and really find out what's relevant for the person, for the human being in front of me. And it's having a job, because with the job, yes, he gets a salary. It can get motivation. It can paid stuff, and the personal growth of a person. Really, really cool. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Yeah. No, and you summarized it really well. That's a great way to put it.
Thank you very much. Now we are coming to an end of this game, of this discussion, but I still have three questions for you.
Sure.
Fast forward 10 years from now, we are back on the CX Goalkeeper podcast. What we are discussing about?
Mm, yeah. So we might get there sooner than 10 years, but it's hard for me to project this far forward. But what I'm imagining is we will all, as individual humans, conceive of our work colleagues as having lots of non-human entities that we collaborate with, the AI agents or AI capabilities, and they'll have different facets, right? There'll be a creative facet, there'll be sort of the researcher, there'll be your co-thought partner, there'll probably be your agent out in the world to interface with other agents. And I think even if we're an individual contributor, I think all of us will become managers in effect of those capabilities. And I would love in the customer experience space if we can think about the experience of having that kind of, you know, posse that you're traveling with, right? That people come to you with. What is the right experience for someone's agent versus for that human? When is it the right moment to insert real humanity into the experience versus just letting it be agent to agent or deep researcher to deep researcher? That's the two non-human entities. I think it'll be a lot less human to human contact. I think it'll be a lot more complicated, but I also think there will still be very much a role at key moments for that human to come in and partner with the human as the customer on the other side, because human to human is what we always remember, right? We are humans. Our evolution isn't going to change nearly as fast as the evolution of the AI tools. So I think that will be a really important way that brands stand out even 10 years from now, even though it'll be much less prominent in terms of the volume of touch points and interactions.
Thank you. And what's the best way to contact you, Sam?
Well, you guessed it. I'm guessing already. LinkedIn. Find me on LinkedIn. I'm there. I post twice a week. I have a newsletter that goes out weekly and a podcast that I do independently, but that I always post about on LinkedIn. I love interacting with our members and customers, as I was mentioning before. I love getting ideas for topics to talk about in my podcast, my newsletter, but also hearing about what LinkedIn could do better to better serve you. Greg, thank you for your kudos earlier. If you want to compliment us, you're excited to see a change we've made, let me know. We love to hear positive feedback, but I'm mostly getting constructive feedback because people want us to be better, and that is totally fine. I'd love to hear from anyone and everyone listening to this with their ideas for making LinkedIn better.
Thank you. Please share the name of your podcast and where we can find your podcast.
Yeah. So CX patterns, it's called, because I'm sort of looking at the underlying patterns of what makes great experiences. And it's available where all fine podcasts are available these days. So you can find it on Apple, on Spotify, or on your favorite podcasting app. And yeah, I would love if you're a listener of the CX Goalkeeper and you have extra time on your walk or folding your laundry, maybe download CX Patterns and make that the next listen after Greg's wonderful podcast.
All right. Thank you very much. And now we are coming to the last question. Is Sam's golden nugget, it's something that we discussed or something new to leave to the audience with?
Yeah. So I'll go back to a point I did make earlier. I just want to underline it, which is in customer experience, it's not about the experience as it happens, but it's much more about the experience as it's remembered. And so really think about what in our experience will get remembered positively. Obviously, you want to focus on that. What are the strong emotions we can make the customer feel, because we're more likely to remember something when we associate strong emotions with it. And then also on the negative side, where are we making customers feel frustrated or taken for granted or confused? And how can we remove those negative emotions so that their memory can just be associated with us and positive emotions that we made them feel? When you start to focus on memory and positive emotions anchoring that memory, you are much more likely to feature prominently in your customer's mind and be a company they want to do business with again. I think to me, that's the ultimate golden nugget that I keep coming back to when I think about how to improve a customer experience.
The only thing that I can say, Sam, is thank you very much for your time. It was really a great discussion. I learned a lot. Thank you.
My pleasure, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Sam, please stay with me. To the audience for today, it's everything. I hope that you enjoyed this discussion as much as I did. Feel free to contact Sam, write him over on LinkedIn, and please follow also Sam's podcast, CX Patterns. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share the word of mouth, subscribe it, share it. Until the next episode, please don't forget, we are not in a B2B or B2C business, we are in a human-to-human environment. Thank you.